Hello, everyone. This is SRC 543. I'm going to be talking to you a bit about the Dream Order baseball trading card game. So, this is a game by Bushi Road that's currently only out in Japan. Seems to be reasonably successful thanks to a big marketing push by them. And they're still making sets. It started in April, and it seems they still have sets even lined up during the off season. So I guess it's doing decently well. Anyway, I'll be talking through how to do the game a little bit. There's a lot of Japanese resources on how to play this game, but not really much in terms of English resources. There's a great guide on the Dream Order Reddit page that will give you like a text-based how-to, but I want to do something a little more out loud and something you can see on video. And to do this, I actually made my own custom printout set to help out with people who aren't familiar with Japanese. This is a historical All Stars team featuring Babe Ruth versus a active All Stars team featuring Shohei Ohtani. So two really awesome two-way players from the ages. And I kind of incorporated into this design, which I'll talk a little bit later. But basically, these are designed to be similar to the starter decks that came out back in April that featured different teams. So you'll see similar power level and complexity to those to learn the game. But also a lot of the cards won't be very powerful just because of roster cost constraints. So anyway, that's what I'm doing here. Let's start out with how a simple at bat will work. First, we have the pitcher card. There is only one main stat we're looking at on the pitcher score here, and that is the DP. There's some other numbers here, but those will come into play later. There are also a couple abilities here, but they do not activate during the at bat. We're looking for cards that activate in the main area, and this one simply states we can have a Babe Ruth outfielder card in our lineup. And ditto with this Ohtani card, we can have this is a Ohtani pitcher card. I guess we'd usually have this guy pitch, but he does have an AP score of 6, so we'll use him a little bit here. So we start with a tie here, a DP of 6 and an AP of 6. So if this at bat went the way as is, the tie will go to the hitter, and we would actually roll for the result right here, depending on what option we chose. To bat either for contact or to bat for power. Had we chosen contact and won, we would go through this result right here, and if we chose power and won, we would go through this result right here. So the power outcomes are a little higher variance. There's a lot more outs on this roll board right here, and the also a big thing we have to take in consideration when looking at this board is it's done by doing 2 six-sided dice. So most of the actual rolls are going to congregate towards the middle here, with 7, of course, being the most common roll if you're familiar with like Settlers of Catan or something. So contact roll, if you win, you're usually going to end up with a single and power. It's really hit or miss, but if you high roll, you'll hit a home run there. So generally, power outcomes are going to be a little more powerful, but cards that boost power are also less plentiful as it is. So we'll do a little, let's say it was AP 6 for Ohtani and DP 6 for Shohei, or for Babe Ruth, and we'll do a power roll here. So this was a 10, and we would go through this chart right here, and that would have been a double. So if we were just going through the numbers right here, that would be a little bit too simple. And that brings us up to the support part of the game. So each player has a support bonus on the bottom right part of the card. Babe Ruth here, on offense, he will give you AP +2, but only if you're hitting for power with that player. On the other hand, if on defense, he'll give you a DP boost of 1, but that's only if your opposing hitter is batting for contact. So contact on defense is only boosted by infielders, and power is only boosted by outfielders on defense. So there are other ways to get a power boost, such as by playing catchers with a special ability or tactical cards, which I'll introduce later. But you'll want a good mix of contact and power on defense. And you aren't going to get that just by doing a traditional lineup of 6 infielders and 3 outfielders. So you might want to have a DH in your outfield spot, or you might want to play some defensive tactical cards in outfield. But I'm getting a little off topic here, so let's get back to this at bat. So let's continue doing Ohtani versus Babe Ruth here. Ohtani is hitting for power, and he's going to want a big power boost to maximize his chances of winning this at-bat. So during the support phase of an at-bat, you have to play either one, but you can also play 2 support cards face down. So Ohtani is hitting for power. He would get a +2 boost from the Aaron Judge card right here. And also this Shohei Ohtani batter card right here also gives a +2 boost. So this would give him the +4. Though it's worth noting that the opposing player will not know these cards. They're placed face down until the at-bat is determined. So we'll say that Team Babe Ruth sees through this little ploy here, and they play a couple capable outfielders to boost on defense. So we'll have Ichiro in outfield for a boost of power +4, and Babe Ruth and Willie Mays supporting Babe Ruth with a boost of power +3. So we'll have all these cards face down here during the at-bat. After this happens, the Ohtani player will declare if they're hitting for if they're batting for power or contact. It's at this point the cards will be revealed, and all of the scores here will be tallied up. So Shohei here will only have 10 total AP here, 6 +2 +2. And Babe Ruth here will have a staggering 6 +3 +4. So the defense cards for the pitching player tend to outscore the offense cards for the batting player in terms of raw stats. The offensive player does have a couple tricks up their sleeve to help even the odds. In addition to the ties, the defending player also has to predict correctly what their opponent is going to do. So if they guess wrong on the contact front or the power front, suddenly the support boosts count as 0. And if the defending player guesses wrong, the offensive player is almost certainly going to reach on base, short of a math error or something, or if they run out of cards. And that brings us to this next mechanic that can swing things in both the defense's and offensive favor, and that's Awakening. So Awakening, at least early on in the meta, I think it's still true today, even though the game's changed very slightly. Awakening is a foundational part of this game. It is extremely powerful, and there's actually a tactical card designed directly to counter it from taking over the game. The way Awakening works is when you play a card that is identical to the card currently in the main area, so the guy pitching or the guy batting, rather than getting their normal boost, they get boost equal to their AP or DP printed on the card. So instead of getting that measly 2, 3, 4, even 1, Babe Ruth is getting that full +6 DP here. And to top it off, that DP counts for both contact and for power. So on the offense side, this gives considerable flexibility because rather than a power boost, Otani, we can bring in another Otani here. And since this 6 AP is going to his total right here and is not a regular support, that 6 AP can go to contact or power. So it can kind of try and do... We can easily juke the player out by choosing the wrong one and have a very high value. But this is even more powerful on defense since this counts for contact and power because it takes a huge part of the guessing game out of the equation. If Babe Ruth has 12 power and Shohei Ohtani does not have an Awakening card and he's just playing another Shohei Ohtani and Judge for just a normal +4 attack boost, he's toast. He's never winning this matchup. So these Awakenings, playing them at the right time and getting them in your hand at the correct situations, whether by luck or skill, make big swings in the game. And that brings me to the next thing, and that is the Gambler card. The Gambler card is basically the top way to interact with your opponent's Awakenings. So if you're expecting your opponent is going to try and put your batter away with a +6, or even if you're a pitcher, you can use this on defense, and maybe your opponent has a few batters on base and they have a good hitter up who they probably have at least a couple copies in their deck to try to trigger Awakening on. This will actually take the Awakening card out of play. So for instance, if Shohei is boosted by himself and a Gambler card, we place this face down, you declare he's hitting for power, and Babe Ruth simply plays a copy of himself for a +6 boost. In this instance, Shohei will both get his support boost from himself, but the Gambler ability will also send this Babe Ruth card to the discard without even triggering. Discard being called the rest area in this game. I guess it's not nice to throw away baseball players. So by having this Gambler card in during this correct instance, it's a 6-point swing and Ohtani wins by staggering 12-6. On the flip side, if Babe Ruth played this Gambler card and Ohtani didn't, he would have this advantage by sending this Awaken card to the discard and wouldn't get to use it. So yeah, you'll definitely want some copies of, especially your strong players in your decks, to get this powerful attack boost. But you'll also want some Gambler cards to keep your opponent honest and keep them from playing their strongest cards and having a powerful boost at consequential moments. So that's kind of the basics of how at-bats work in this game. Let's start with the setup with an actual game now. So the first card you'll need when you're beginning a game is the team card. This is important not only because it gives us our batting chart, but also it gives us the constrictions to our roster. So all the current cards out here give the same restriction: a total pitcher cost of 5 and a total batter cost of 10. So, important to note for pitchers, this is the maximum cost of pitchers that you can use throughout the game. So, for instance, in the starter deck, we have a Shohei of cost 2, a Matsui of cost 1, and a Craig Kimbrell of cost 1. So, throughout the game, we'll intend to use all three of them, and the total cost will be 2 plus 1 for a total of 4, and that puts us right in the clear. And for batters, the math will work out the same. We have Otani, Judge, Altuve, Freeman, Ramirez, Lindor, Betts, Trout, and Real Muto. So we got 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's 8 total, including a bunch of zeros. And we're also clear on that. So we're under the total batter cost and the total pitcher cost, and we're good to go. One more thing is we do have to look at the roster restrictions and the maximum cost allowed. So in my made up card right here, we can use any player that has appeared in an MLB game. So obviously these players have all played. Trout's been a little hurt this year, but he's been around for a long time. And our maximum cost is 13. So that's the cost of batters in our order of 8, plus the cost of pitchers that we're going to use is 4. The thing that's worth noting for pitchers is just the combination of pitchers that we actually use can be up to 5. So I could have these 3 pitchers here, and I can bring in an additional closer of 1, or an additional middle reliever of 1. But I can even do some funky stuff like bring in a second closer, or I can bring in an expensive closer and then have a middle reliever as a backup in case I'm behind and might not get to use my closer. So there's some flexibility to it, but just because of how the Awakening ability works, you'll probably want to stick to the same 3 or 4 pitchers, because you'll want copies of them in your deck. Craig Kimbrell here, he has 7 DP as a closer, but if we don't get him supporting up, he's still going to lose to an Awakened player every time. Almost every time. One last thing to note for roster construction here is we do have to have a batter from every position here, with the DH spot serving as a wild card. So I should have 4 outfielders here. So we're good on the outfielder requirement, but we also have our catcher, first base, second base, third base, and shortstop. So we're all good here. Worth noting, in the DH spot, we can even put a pitcher in here, such as this Otani card. Obviously we're playing this Otani card instead of this one, so we wouldn't be able to play both of them. But yeah, there aren't any good hitting pitchers in the game currently as it is, but eventually Otani will probably get a proper release as a World Baseball Classic player. So keep a lookout on that. Other than that, the most powerful hitting pitcher in the game is a 4 AP Neo. And that's basically unusable because he costs like 3 points. So you'd only use him as a pitcher. Also, worth noting is the DH is basically used exclusively. Theoretically, you could have the pitcher bat come in and you could even pinch hit for them via the rules as of Volume 4, but That's not typically used, and I won't use that in this demonstration. The pinch hitting mechanic I'll have to do for another time too, since I don't have this roster constructed with that into consideration. All right. So we have our pitching staff, we have our batting order. We also need 3 time points. Time points are counters that you use. You can technically get more of them, but you max out at 5. You start with 3 of them, and every time you use one, you can substitute a player out for another player. This is typically only used for pitchers. It might not seem that exciting to sub out your starting pitcher for another reliever, but whenever you put a pitcher into play, they have a certain card score. So Tani here has starting pitcher +7. So his role as starting pitcher, he has to start at the beginning of the game. But when he comes into play, you draw 7 cards. And when Matsui comes in here as a middle reliever and you sub him in, he's going to draw you 3 cards. And Kimbrel here will draw you 2 cards. So obviously this is a lot of cards and will allow you to draw more into your powerful gambler cards and your powerful awakening effects from having duplicate players. But another thing to keep in mind for pitchers is you might sub them out because you run out of copies of them in your deck. So you might burn 2 or 3 of Shohei Ohtani's awakenings very early from using copies of them from your deck. But you might have a few Yuki Matsuis in your hand, or you might draw some more with his +3 cards here. So yeah, using a balanced staff, it's very important both for drawing through cards in your deck, but also drawing into copies of themselves so you can trigger as many awakenings on defense as possible. In fact, oftentimes when you're playing in a competitive setting, you'll use 4 pitchers just to get that extra card draw and to have more opportunities to awaken players. Basically just using the starting pitcher as an opener. One last note on the pitching staff. The only mandatory player is a starting pitcher, but generally you will want one closer, and the reason for that is closers basically get a bonus point in terms of their stats versus their cost. So Kimbrel is a 1 cost, he draws 2 cards and has 7 DP. So he doesn't draw as many cards as Matsui here, drawing 2 instead of 3. But extra point makes a huge difference. And if you awaken him, that 14 DP is basically going to be unbeatable unless your opponent has either awakening themselves or a gambler card to counteract it. So yeah, you'll want a starting pitcher, probably 1 to 2 middle relievers, and probably a closer too. The closer can only come in the 3rd inning or later just to make up for that extra power boost they have. So you'll want to keep that in mind, and it's pretty common for players to only invest 0 or 1 points into their closer because you won't always get to use them every game, or at least not in a leverage setting if it's not close. All right. So with that, we have our time points, we have our team card. We'll also have our main deck, and this will mainly be composed of duplicate copies of our players either in our pitching staff or in our lineup to trigger those important awakening multiplying boosts. We also have some support cards as well. We have a couple copies of Gambler Contact Hitting, which gives a flat +4 AP for contact hits. Full Swing, which gives a full +3 AP for power swings. Infield Shift, which will give us a 5-point boost for against contact swings. and outfield shift, which will give us a 5-point boost for power swings. So these can be nice, especially if you don't have very many duplicate copies of your cards, but you lose quite a bit of flexibility because outfield shift has no value on offense, for instance. But the bigger thing to note is, since these do not match any of the cards in your lineup, you cannot use these for Awakening. So there's definitely a cost to using these types of cards, and because contact hitting and full swing don't give you a whole lot of points, they actually incorporated an ability called Combo, which encourages the use of these cards in later sets in the Volume 1 booster packs. So they're trying to tune these up a bit. These are kind of fringe playables, especially outfield shift. But generally, Gambler is the only card you'll really see often in a competitive environment. But anyway, I have one of each of these and 2 Gamblers just to reflect the contents of the starter deck and just to kind of show how they're played. Alrighty, here. Let's try to play a game here. So first off, we'll set our lineup here. I'm using an MLB Power Pros card game playmat because I cannot find my Dream Order playmat. So hopefully we can make this work. So we have Aaron Judge here. We'll have him bat number 3. Shohei Ohtani batting number 2. Freddie Freeman batting number 4. Jose Altuve leading off. Jose Ramirez in the 5-hole. Betts. Actually, Lindor before Betts. Trout and Real Muto. The basic strategy for Dream Order is you want to have your powerful hitters as high in the order as possible, basically. And the reason for that is these games are only 3 innings. So oftentimes the front half of your order will be able to get 2 at-bats. And your bottom half of the order will only get 1 at-bat. They'll always get 1 at-bat, but getting 2 at-bats won't be that common unless the game is a total blowout, in which case the at-bats will be pretty low leverage anyway. Besides that, your hitter's special abilities can also be a factor in deciding lineup order. Freddie Freeman, he has an ability that says offense and main, meaning it triggers when he's on offense and when he's in the main area or when he's at bat. If there is a runner in scoring position, AP +1. So with an ability like that, he's going to be more towards the middle of the order to maximize that chance of having someone on base. Meanwhile, we have someone like Shohei Ohtani, who has high stats all around. He has high power. We could put him in like the 3 or 4 spots to maybe get someone on base. But on the other hand, we might just want to get him in that two hole just to really maximize that chance of getting him that second at bat. To say it's a low scoring game, him getting a late home run could really swing the odds in our favor, even if we weren't able to get very many men on earlier on in the game. And Altuve I just have here as a stereotypical leadoff man. He has a boost of contact +2, meaning whenever we make a contact roll, he'll get a 2-point boost. So we roll an 8, 10. So it wouldn't have made a difference here, but that +2 boost will sometimes turn a single into a double, but more importantly, it will turn some outs into singles as well. Now, +2 boost to contact means unless your opponent is able to lower your roll or you roll snake eyes, he's going to get on base. If he wins the matchup, of course, with that. base point of 5 AP. All right. So we got our team cards, we got our lineup, we got our pitchers. And I'll put the lineup together for this all-star squad as well. Might be kind of running out of space on the board here, but I'll try to work them in here. So we got Babe Ruth at starting pitcher here. We got Masanori Murakami, the first, as far as I know, the first Japanese-born player to debut in MLB back in the 60s. And we also have Mariano Rivera at closer. So that's their bullpen. And they'll have Ichiro leading off. Willie Mays batting second. Actually, this is flipped around. Lou Gehrig batting second. Babe Ruth batting third. Willie Mays batting fourth. Jackie Robinson fifth. Matsui sixth. Mike Schmidt seventh. Ozzie Smith eighth. And Johnny Bench ninth. So again, kind of the same strategy here. We have high contact guy leading off, some power in the middle of the order here. Hopefully we get 2 at-bats with these guys. And then the end of our order is mostly defensive specialists, namely Johnny Bench. He only has a AP value of 4, but on defense when we play him, this is a defense support, so it triggers when he's supporting a player and you're playing defense. True ability. I think there's different translation used for this one, but this basically means it only triggers if he's in the lineup. And if he's in the lineup, your pitcher gets an additional power DP plus 2. So he covers both contact hitting and power hitting at a value of 2. So it gives you a little bit of flexibility. And since he only gets 1 at bat, the low AP score 4 hurts you a little bit less. All right. So that's the starting orders. We got the team card. And we got the time points. And we'll do a quick shuffle of the decks here. At this point, both teams will name their starting pitcher, and that will determine their starting can size. So on New Age All-Stars, we have Shohei Ohtani. And Old Age All-Stars, we have Babe Ruth. Since he's a starting pitcher and he has a boost of 7, that means he'll get to draw 7 cards, which is a considerable amount. And it's very popular, in fact, to play pitchers, mainly for their high starting can size. So Babe Ruth player will draw 7 cards, and he's looking to get those awakenings. So we have a Babe Ruth pitching card, a Babe Ruth hitting card, a Willie Mays hitting card, and some cards that are a little less powerful. So we're actually going to get rid of these, and these get to go into the rest area for use later on. And we get to draw 4 new cards. So we get another Mike Schmidt, infield shift, Jackie Robinson, and contact hitter. So not the most exciting new 4 cards here, but the thing to note here with this mulligan rule is the starting cards who are starting pitcher in a way count almost double, because you can look up through up to 14 cards of your deck with this +7 and really dig deep for these awakening cards that you're seeking and gambler cards that you're seeking. And we'll do the same thing for the New Age players. So Shohei Ohtani is a starting pitcher, and he has a card value of +7. So we will draw a hand of 7 here. So we have a Shohei Ohtani card, Freddie Freeman card, Trout, Full Swing, Real Mito, Judge, and Lindor. So of course we want our pitcher cards to trigger their awakening, but we also have near the top of the order bat with Freddie Freeman, so we'll keep him, and Aaron Judge as well. And again, we'll choose these 4 cards and send them our discard/rest area and draw 4 more cards. And that gives us contact hitting, Jose Altuve, Jose Ramirez, and Yuki Matsui. We'll want to hold on to him to trigger his awakening unless we're really desperate for a boost in one of these other areas. And now we'll start the game. So, let's see. Old Age All-Stars drew their hand first. So let's have them start out at pitcher. So Babe Ruth versus Altuve. Altuve will be using the batting team's team card or hitting chart. The hitting chart's the same for all teams, so I guess it doesn't really matter which one we use, but just do that for the heck of it. Altuve gets a +2 roll to his contact, so we're probably going to be batting for contact here, and both sides will be expecting that. So Altuve's side, we have a Jose Altuve card and a contact hitting card. And that gives us a theoretical point value of 14. Pretty tough to beat. Meanwhile, Old Age All-Stars will want to use some of our good contact cards. So we have Infield Shift, and we have Jackie Robinson. So we have 6 + 5 + 3. This is 14. 5 + 5 + 4. This is also 14. So this is a tough luck case for Babe Ruth here. He has a lot of points on the board, and he even predicted correctly that the Altuve player would be batting for contact. But because of this awakening boost of +5, Altuve will be tying him at 14. And that'll be enough to make a contact roll. Because of this +2 boost, that virtually guarantees he'll get on base. Yep, that's 11. So that's a value of 13, but we actually go by the max value on the chart here. There's no hidden home run at 13 or anything on the contact board. That's simply a double. All right. So after that at-bat is finished, all these cards used for supporting will go to the rest area, set aside from when we mulliganed earlier. After that, each player will draw a card, ensuring that they always have a card to play out of their hand. And the next player will come up to bat as well. So this is a Shohei Ohtani card. It's the outfielder card. His AP is 6, and his dice roll when batting for power is +2. So very heavily telegraphed that he's going to be swinging for power, and both sides know this. So we can do a juke for him hitting for contact, but I think unless our points value are not great, we're gonna want to go for power. So no awakenings available for us, unfortunately, here. We do have the Shohei Ohtani pitching card with a special offensive support ability. If this is your starting pitcher, your Shohei Ohtani outfielder card gets an additional power AP of +1 for this support and contact AP +3 for this support. So since we don't have any awakenings to really overpower a power roll, we can go for the juke with the contact roll. So +3. And these are all power cards, so we'll just go with +3 for contact here, going for that juke. And on this side, we're probably expecting another power roll. So since it's only one card, we'll do an Awakening for Babe Ruth. And we'll also, let's see. Also use an outfielder Babe Ruth. Outfielder Babe Ruth has a similar ability to Johnny Bench, where he'll give +2 support to our defensive points for both power and contact by 2, but only if Babe Ruth is our current pitcher. So we'll get 6 DP plus 6 more from this Awakening, plus 2 more from this support here. And once cards are revealed, we have Ohtani declaring contact hitting for a value of 9, trying to get that juke. Babe Ruth has an Awakening trigger, so he is going to be a full 12 for both offense and defense. And that would already be plenty to beat the 9 offered by the attacking Ohtani player. But also he'll get an additional +2 from this Babe Ruth outfielder card. So the total here is 14-9, and that is an automatic out whenever the batting player loses the matchup here. So unlike, say, MLB Showdown, the batting player is going to win the matchup quite a bit often. So when they lose a matchup, it's an automatic out rather than just a disadvantage in the roll. So we'll put Ohtani back in our batting order. A couple cards fall over here. He is out, and we'll put this into the rest area. So now that the pitching player has made their first out, we will take the 2 cards used for support and choose one of them, and it will go to the out area, which we will use for a marker. Later, we will take 1 card from the out area and use it as an inning marker. And once a card goes to the inning area, it will never go back to your rest area, and you'll never see that card again this game. So we'll want to have at least one of our weaker cards into the inning area by the end of into the out area, so we can put it into the inning area by the end of the inning, so it doesn't get stranded. All right, next up we will have Aaron Judge here. Aaron Judge has a boost of 2 to his power, but he also has a special ability that triggers. It's offense in its main, so it triggers when he's at bat, and it's Awakening AP +2. So in addition to that 5 boost he'll get from Awakening, he gets an additional boost of 2 from this ability. So he would effectively be a 6-point player, granted we have another copy of him in our hand. And luck have it, we actually do have another copy of him in our hand. So I actually did this incorrectly earlier. Theoretically, offense and defense could play these cards at the same time, but actually the defending player will play their card first, and they will choose 1 or 2 cards, and then the offensive player actually reacts and then declares hitting for contact or power. So this is another facet where the offensive player has the advantage. Is, say, if the pitching player wants to punt and only play 1 card, the offensive player is going to see that vulnerability and can go all out and try to overwhelm them. All right. So we have another Babe Ruth batting card, which is decent on defense, but I don't know if we really want to use it. But we also don't have a whole lot of other good options here. So let's use Willie Mays and Babe Ruth. That'll give pitching Babe a DP score of 6 plus 3 plus 2 versus power. Aaron Judge, since he has an awakening, he will go all in on power and also declare a power roll after this is done. So these are all face down. Pitching player plays 2. Batting player plays 2. Batting player will declare that they're hitting for power, reveal their cards. Then pitching player will reveal their cards, and we'll sum everything up. So Judge will have 5 plus 5 plus the 2 from his special ability plus the 2 from the support from Jose Ramirez for a pretty high total of 14. And Babe Ruth will have his 6 plus 3 plus 2 when we factor in the special ability from the outfielder Babe Ruth. So batting player wins, and they'll get to do a roll for power. And I'll get boosted by plus 2 thanks to Aaron Judge's card ability. So this is a 7. That would already be a single, but thanks to the plus 2, it will be a double. It's pretty powerful stuff here. All right. So these cards will go to the rest area. There are no outs this at bat, so these cards will also go to the rest area. Jose Altuve will advance a base for each base that Aaron Judge hit, and Aaron Judge will go to second. So this will score a point for the New Age All-Stars to give the Old Age All-Stars a better chance to mount a comeback. Per the game's rule, they will draw an additional card each time the opposing team scores. So they'll draw 1 card to their deck for that, and they'll also draw an additional card for the beginning of the at-bat. So they'll have some extra fuel to defend against more upcoming attacks. Anyway, that's kind of the basics. I'll kind of streamline through a few of the game functions just to keep this video at a reasonable length. So let's say I get 2 more outs here. We will choose 2 of the support cards or 1 of the support cards from each of these. So let's say I only played 1 supporter in 1 and got an out. This will also go to the out area. I play 2 support cards and got an out. We will choose 1 of these and put it in the out area. And once there are 3 cards in the out area, that will be the end of the inning. These are all face down, by the way. The pitching player gets to see their own out cards, but the opposing player does not. So once the inning ends, we'll have to choose 1 of these and put it in our inning area as a marker. And we will not have access to this card for the rest of the game. So we have a Mike Schmidt card. He's at the bottom of our order, and we might not need his support. We might not support him for Awakening later on or want to. No, maybe we would hold on to them. But I'll put back these Matsui and Babe Ruth cards for later. And why do I say for later? Once we draw enough cards, and believe me, you'll draw a lot of cards because you get, at least 10 to 12 cards just from playing pitchers alone, but you also draw a card for every at-bat and every run allowed. Eventually, you'll run out of cards. And once you run out of cards to draw from your deck, you'll take this rest area and you'll shuffle it back, and that will become your main deck once again. So that's all the more reason to pitch your weaker cards in your initial hand so you can start drawing into your more powerful cards again. And it's also why you'll want to keep your strong cards out of your inning area, because you'll have a small chance of redrawing them as the game progresses. Speaking of drawing cards, I'll demonstrate how to do a player substitution. So you can do a player substitution once every at bat. And that's basically just to make sure that there's a minimum of one batter faced for each pitcher. So if you want to bring in a pitcher just to draw a couple cards, he's going to have to face a batter. And if he's really bad, it might not be pretty. So to do a substitution, you'll have your pitcher and batter in the main area. You'll declare you're making a substitution. You'll consume one of your time cards and flip it face down. And you'll take your pitcher, you'll put it back in your bullpen, and put the new pitcher into the main area. And this is the time when you draw that +3 cards next to the pitcher roll. Again, pitcher rolls, closers can only come in during the third inning, and starting pitchers cannot be subbed in. They can only start the game. So most of your substitutions are going to be middle relievers. Once you sub them in, you'll get that 3 extra cards. Worth noting that mulligan only matters that mulligan only occurs at the start of the game. So these 3 cards that your middle reliever draws, they're pretty valuable, but it's not equivalent to the cards your starting pitcher draws at the beginning of the game, because those cards can be redrawn thanks to the player mulligan. So then, past that, should we need to make another substitution later? We would take another one of our face-up time cards and consume it. Take our pitcher out, put it in a pitcher that hasn't pitched yet this game. He's a closer, so it'd have to be the third inning or later. And because of his ability, we would add 2 more cards to our hand. Let's see, that is how Dream Order works, my friends. So just go back and review all the basic card elements of each player. So we have card cost at the top left. That determines the eligibility for the card to be used in their deck. We also have their team and league. This will be important for if it meets the requirements of your card. All the team cards right now are either team specific or league specific. The league specific ones have lower salary available than the team specific ones. So then we have our AP for attack power used by batters. DP. Layout's a little bit different for pitchers. The DP is actually bigger for pitchers. Then we have the supporting values for power or contact on both offense and defense, and their values for them. We have our special abilities in the middle. They can be for offense. They can trigger while they're in the main area or at bat, or they can be support triggers that they only occur when they're used out of their hand. And they can also have other restrictions as well, such as true ability, which means they must be in your lineup in order for them to trigger at all. You can basically put any card that meets these team requirements in your deck, even if they aren't in your order. You can also put tactics cards in there. When using tactics cards, if player is not in your lineup, you do need to, of course, keep in mind the drawback of doing that, because you will not be able to do these powerful awakening triggers that can double or even triple your AP or DP scores and add additional flexibility and less guesswork on defense. So, yeah, that's how the game works. You play through 3 innings. You make your lineup. One quirk of this game is there's no overtime rules currently, so you can either continue playing with your closer in play and maybe draw an additional card or two. You can declare it a draw, or you can even do rock, paper, scissors, or a coin flip. So that's all your decision making. And one more thing I'd like to add about time points is they do have an additional use in addition to using them for player substitutions. They also double as a resource here. So I have this Lou Gehrig card. He has the ability to pay a time point, add an additional +1 AP and power roll +2 to his points. So there aren't many cards that have this ability in the game, just because it's using time points is expensive since you don't get very many of them and it's difficult to get more of them. But when you do get to use them, they tend to have powerful effects like a significant AP boost, or they'll help you draw additional cards. And this is used in the same way, where you'll simply take one of your time points and flip it face down to show that's consumed. Bear in mind, when using time points to boost up a batter or to draw cards or something, these are time points that you will not have to use to substitute pitchers and to draw additional cards. So you will have to take that into account when putting players like this in your roster. You probably won't want to have more than one if you decide to use them at all. It seems it's much more popular to use pitcher substitutions for those time points instead of batter abilities. And one last element I'll want to point out is the roll modifiers. Power can be up to +2, but it can also be boosted further by special abilities. Ditto with a contact can also be up to +2. A +2 boost is very high, and only a small percentage of cards will be +2, but about a quarter of batter cards will have a +1 boost to either contact or power, so that's not too uncommon to see. Also, the average AP for a batter will be 5, and the average DP for a pitcher will be 6. So there's a slight advantage built in for pitchers, made up for by other game mechanics explained earlier on. So batters can be as low as 4, but as high as 6. And pitchers are typically 6, but closers are often 7, and other positions can be up to 7 as well. All right. Well, that's like 3 batters of Dream Order plus a demonstration of how player substitutions and card draws and how the support area works. Hopefully that was helpful to y'all, and you can combine that with the use of the Dream Order guide on the wiki or some Google translated stuff on Japanese sites to kind of help you navigate through the game. Of course, feel free to leave any questions in the comments, and also try to leave a link up there somewhere for this MLB player beginner set to help with those people that aren't too familiar with the Japanese language, to kind of pick up and play the game and get a feel for the mechanics before they also have to work through all the Japanese text on the cards as well. All right, that'll be it. And thank you very much for watching this far.